Tech, where each week we discuss the good, the bad, and the ugly of where tech is headed in 2023 and beyond.
AI companies are getting sued right and left. Joining me to talk about the lawsuits is Gizmodo senior reporter Thomas Germain. Tom, who's getting sued and why?
Well, it's just about everyone who's making a major AI product. We're talking about OpenAI, who made ChatGPT. Google has Bard. Meta has a couple different ones. Llama, I think, is the one that's best known. They're all getting sued kind of for the same reason. People are saying that they scraped content off the internet, which violated both people's privacy and, more importantly, copyright law. So there are two cases filed by the same law firm against OpenAI and Google, and their argument is essentially that these companies scraped everything that was ever posted on the entire internet, right? So these large language models, right, they need a big data set of information so that they can, predict what normal human-esque speech is. And basically what they do is they go through sites like Reddit and Twitter. We don't know exactly where they're getting the information and just download everything and feed it into the machine. The highest profile case comes from comedian Sarah Silverman, who, along with a couple of other people, is suing Meta and OpenAI because she and the other plaintiffs say they ingested their entire books essentially and are spitting them out. So it raises some really interesting copyright questions about what is and isn't allowed. And the courts really don't know. We haven't figured that out yet as a society.
And how does she know that it might have ingested her book? Does ChatGPT sound like Sarah Silverman? And was her book just sort of floating around readily available on the internet?
I would love if ChatGPT sounded like Sarah Silverman. I think that would be an improvement. But no, apparently what they did is they asked ChatGPT and I guess Meta's Llama for a summary of Sarah Silverman's book, and it spat it out. So apparently it ingested, or at least Sarah Silverman says, an entire copy of her whole book. And that's kind of a weird situation, right? Because I can read, as a writer, I could read Sarah Silverman's book and write you a summary. That's perfectly fine. But is it different when you feed that into a computer program and it exists somewhere in the ether of a database? Is that violating copyright law? We don't really know. Sarah Silverman says yes, but anybody's game. We'll have to see what the courts decide.
What is Google getting sued for? I know our headline was scraping every post that's ever been made on the internet.
Yeah, that's literally what the lawsuit says, essentially. We spotted last week that Google updated its privacy policy and said basically any public information on the internet, anything that gets posted, is fair game for Google to scrape and put into its various AI systems, from Google Translate to Bard to a number of other products.
That's pretty ballsy of them.
Yeah, which is interesting. Like, the lawsuit says Google doesn't own the whole internet, but it's kind of complicated, right? This information is in public, anyone can go look at it. But is it okay to take that and build it into a computer program? It's kind of weird. Like, it's not like Bard or ChatGPT have a copy of, Sarah Silverman's book or anything else inside the database, but there's some learning, there's some analysis from that copyrighted work that exists inside ChatGPT. So is that different from me writing about it, or someone, making a painting because they studied Picasso and they do something that looks like Cubism? It's kind of an edge case. I'm not really sure what to think about it, but definitely a lot of artists and writers and creative types are pretty upset about this.
Have we seen any decisions that might set a precedent for these cases?
Not that I'm aware of. It's a pretty new question. Like, this technology has been around for a while, but it's only, the past year or so, or even, 8 or 9 months with ChatGPT that this stuff has been in a easily digestible public-facing program or app that anyone can go use. So, there's a lot, hundreds of years of case law on issues about intellectual property. But when it comes to, are you breaking the law by having your algorithm look at it and learn things from it, I think really we have no idea. And normally I would assume that, the US court system would side with big businesses. But here it's kind of complicated because there's two big businesses on either side, right? We've got the publishing industry and Getty Images, and then we've got OpenAI and Google. So which giant corporation, which industry are the courts going to side with here? I really couldn't tell you. It's an interesting question.
That is an interesting question. To read more about all these cases, go to gizmodo.com.